locating some coyotes, they have to move several times and finally get right in the back door. And after just a couple howls on the Icotech and MFA diaphragms, one howls right in their lap.
Alright. It's right after daylight. Been hearing some coyotes right here. It's been raining the last few days. We hadn't heard them in probably a week, but they were here. So Kerry Wayne's gonna howl right quick. If nothing answers, we'll do a group howl. Try to figure out where they're at and then go set up. Right there. Swap sides. That's a terrible one. They're howling right out here on this side of the road. I hear some more. I don't know, it might be dogs. Anyway, that's the important thing about locating. Every time I've been here before, coyotes have been on this side. This morning, they're probably 200 yards in here on the other side of the road. So had we come based off of what we knew, we would have set up over here. Wouldn't have been even close. So it's thick on this side, so I don't know what we can do with them, but we just bust down through all that bullshit and see if we can get something killed. Alright, y'all heard us locate those coyotes from the road. We've been walking for probably 30-40 minutes trying to find an opening. We actually come all the way through. We should be in there past the coyotes. We're on the edge of a clear cut, the thicket that we heard them in. It's right here to my right. We're sitting on the edge of it. There's an old road that's splitting the clear cut and the thicket. We're set up on the edge of it, hoping we can pull them down that road. Wind's blowing from our right to left. Got a crosswind. It's blowing back out into the clear cut. So we've got the Icotech set up just right here, pretty close and slightly behind us, to try to take advantage of that crosswind. If they do come out and loop around, maybe we can get a shot at them in the clear cut. We'll howl a couple times and see if maybe they'll answer us and hopefully get them called in and killed here in just a second. That's the clear cut. Set up right on the edge. There's the edge of the thicket. The coyotes howled. Should have been right out there, just inside the edge of that thicket. So hopefully with the way the wind is, we can pull them out, kill them in this road. They're in the clear cut. In the corner of one. Yeah. I need to move a little bit. I can't. Man, they're straight downwind of us. Damn it. Which I really don't feel the wind blowing that way right this second, but it was earlier.
To me, it's hanging more than anything.
Even if it is, they'll probably go hit that angle. Man, if we could tie into that tree line. If this don't happen, that's what we'll do. show y'all where the goats are at. If y'all see the big tree line, they're right in that point of trees right there. Alright, I'm gonna make this quick. We've moved into the point of trees. We actually bumped one goat when we were setting up right here. It was actually laying down right over there in the point. So we may be completely busted. It didn't act like it knew what we were, it just kind of eased off. So hopefully we're still alright. We're gonna go ahead and give it a try. Wind's blowing back out in the clear cut. We're right in that point of trees where they howled, so we should be right on top of them. We'll howl right quick and see what happens. The sun's at our back, you can tell, so that's good. Should work if we ain't bumped them. Go ahead. Wind's perfect if it'll stay like that. I seen one move out there on the edge. Down there in the point. I can't believe they won't come through that edge. I can't believe they won't walk through that edge.
I was just sitting there thinking, I can't think of one time that the coyotes have been in the fucking clear cut and was in the woods, and we can't call them out a clear cut.
I saw one move way down there.
Yeah, listen, we try to hear me. I bet he's 50 yards.
No, he's right there. Alright, fill y'all in on what's fixing to happen. We've been messing with these coyotes, you can tell, for several minutes now. I mean, they are literally right on top of us. But for whatever reason, they won't break that edge. So again, we're gonna take a chance and risk moving closer. Even though we're right on top of them, one of the goats probably wasn't more than 50 yards, just too thick to see it. They're in the edge of the clear cut now. We got the wind on them. Crosswind is blowing from the clear cut straight out here now, which is different than it was earlier. We got lucky on that. But the wind is switched. And we're just going to ease up, not very far at all, about as far as we can see, towards where the goats were, where they last howled. And hopefully putting that little bit of pressure on them will get them to turn loose and break and come on in here. Or we may bump them. One way to find out. We're going to try. There he is. I ain't sure I'm on him. Hold on. I can't tell where I'm at. Can you see him? Kill him. Kill him. I got him. I got him. Yes, sir. Good Lord.
What the piss?
What a hunt. You know, we said on the way in here, this reminded us
Of that clear cut.
of another clear cut hunt. Man, that was crazy.
Yeah, you didn't see him stand up when we howled? He howled?
Yeah, I seen him, but the glare is shining on my... I thought I had him, but the glare from the sun's at our back, and it was shining right on the camera viewfinder, so I couldn't tell for sure, and I didn't want to miss the footage.
Yeah, my second or third, I can't remember what howled. I seen him stand up and I seen his nose.
He jumped up on that log.
I said, gosh dang.
Man.
Yeah.
There ain't no way, there's not going to be any way to describe what's going on right here. If you notice, Kerry Wayne's standing up. Shot that coat standing up. I'm going to fill y'all in. We done got so close to him. This was a good
I
one.
don't see how we got to where we were.
This is the point of timber that we showed y'all earlier. We come in from that way. Way over there, those tallest trees you see, that's where we started our first set. They howled in this point. We moved in here on them. Located, they howled and howled and howled, but they would not. They'd moved out into the clear cut, which is where he just shot it. This is the edge right here. You can see the edge. Here's the clear cut. Every time we would howl, they would howl right here in the edge, but they would not break through this edge. We were within 50 yards, but we had the wind on them. So we finally decided to risk it one more time. It was our fourth move. We moved out here right to the edge of the clear cut. Like I said, had the wind on them. These tops are thick in here everywhere, so visibility was terrible. And it kind of helped us because the coyotes couldn't see us get in here. But we got right here to the edge. Kerry Wayne howled a couple times. We've got the Icotech set up in the point of the trees back behind us at what was our second set. We just left it there because it was...
It's probably 100 yards now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, it's about 100 yards back behind us from where we made our second set. Y'all could hear it continue to howl after we shot. That was MFK competition howls on the Icotech. But that coyote, when it stood up, it was laying in this top. That top is no more than 15 yards from us. The coyote jumped up out of the top, jumped up on the log. Yeah, walk over and get him. But the coyote jumped up out of the top. The only reason it didn't see us. Luckily it's wet where we walked in here, so we made no noise slipping up here. But it jumped up out of the top, jumped up on the log, and started howling at us. Never seen us. Walked down the log. I finally made sure I had it on camera, zoomed in tight. Gary Wayne smoked him, rolled him right off the log. He's on down.
I'm trying to figure out how to get there.
But he was bedded in that top. There's actually a group of coyotes here, but as long as this hunt's taken, we'll be happy with the one, the way it played out. Go ahead and drag him on back through into the woods and we'll get back in the shade. It's good and hot out here. He's going right back as soon as he crosses that drain. We were set up just on the other side of that drain right there. That's where we made our third setup. We moved about 50 yards closer to where I'm standing right now. I was standing up filming, took the camera off the tripod. He was standing up shooting. Got it done. MFK time. Talk about one for the memory books. This hunt started, what time do you think it is?
I don't have a clue. I ain't got my phone or nothing.
I bet it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 9.
I do too.
We started at 6:30 this morning. But man, I'll go over the hunt. You know, it just shows you what moving on coyotes will do and stuff like that. Edges, how big a role edges play when you're hunting timber coyotes and thicket coyotes. I mean, that was the key on that deal, was that edge. Any other time, they would have run right over the top of us, but those coyotes would not. We called them up to this edge 3 or 4 different times, and they would come up and howl and look out in here. We'd catch glimpses of them, but they would not break out of that edge.
That's odd too.
Oh, I know it. But this started, what do you think we are, a mile or better from the truck?
A mile through a jungle.
At least. Of course, y'all will see all this as the hunt plays out, because we videoed from start to finish, tried to get everything live action. Maybe it'll help y'all out hunting some of these, especially timber coyotes. But we started at the truck. This was a place that I'd heard coyotes at probably, well, first week of August. Had a buddy of mine in, Joey Worth, and we actually located these coyotes on the opposite side of the road. And then it rained for a week. We hadn't heard these coyotes, hadn't been able to come listen to them. So when we pulled up out there on the road, figured we better check them. We were expecting them to be across the road in the same place that me and Joey heard them. But when they howled this morning, opposite side, and of course they were in a heck of a thicket. Y'all probably saw some of that as we were walking up through there. Well, we end up getting all the way to the back of the thicket, mainly because we couldn't find the setup. We get to the edge, y'all see us make that setup on the edge of the clear cut, and the coyotes howl in this point of timber that we're setting in right now. And of course they wouldn't come on across the clear cut, so we make a loop, get the wind on them, and end up in this point pretty close to where they howled. Well, by the time we'd done all that, they'd actually moved a little farther out, and they were out in and kind of crossing the clear cut on the opposite end of where we'd initially set up. Well, they howl, they're right on top of us, but out in the clear cut. They come up to the edge. We move on them again to what would have been our third setup. We howl, they answer us just right there. Gary Wayne sees probably this coyote at about 50 yards. It comes up to the edge, howls, turns around, eases back out in the clear cut, stood there and looked and looked and looked. I never could get it on video. It may have been close enough for him to shoot. Could you have shot it then?
I've been pushing it.
But it goes back out in the clear cut. We sit here, we give them some time, we play some pup sounds and 2 or 3 different things. Can't get them to break the edge. So one of those risk versus reward deals. And this is so different from open ground hunting, to where, you know, you drive, pull up in your truck, you top a hill, you sit down, you make a little noise, a coyote pops out 400 yards or whatever, and you shoot him, and you say you called up a coyote. Here you truly have to call them up. I mean, you can't see a coyote 100 yards. So we knew they were hanging up on that edge. We decided to chance bumping them one more time. We got up, and this is something to really consider when you're hunting, especially timber coyotes. And you can use thick cover tactics in open ground easily. You can't apply open ground tactics to thick ground as easily because of the visibility. And I'm not saying coyotes are harder to call one place or the other. I'm just saying that if you can kill coyotes at really close range in thick cover, it makes open ground hunting pretty easy. So we decided to risk it. We moved to the edge, got right on the edge. Of course, everything out there is shoulder high, waist high. Tops and bushes and grass and everything growed up, but that's where the coyotes were. And a lot of times they don't want to break whatever the block is they're in. So rather than try to set down or set up, we knew we couldn't push any farther, we would for sure bump them. So we decided to just stand up and see what happened. I pulled the camera off the tripod. We stood right there on the edge. Still had the Icotech set up from our second set, which was probably 100 or better yards. It's still down there. 100 or better yards away from us, and the wind was blowing right back. If you see any of these ribbons, the wind's blowing like this. So it was perfect. Carry Wayne howled 2 or 3 times. I answered it with the Icotech. The coyote howls and jumps up on a log. And I probably got a lot of that on footage, but the sun was glaring when I turned, it was glaring on the camera. Couldn't see very well. And so I wanted to make sure before he pulled the trigger, but I know I was on the coyote when he rolled him off the log, zoomed in tight. But we were talking about it, joking about it. On the way in here, this reminded us of a hunt from a couple of years ago. Real similar situation. We located coyotes deep, had to walk through a jungle to get to them, get out there, they're in a growed up clear cut. We end up standing up in the edge of the clear cut, calling the coyote up. It howls, runs, and we couldn't see it. Grass was this high, and it couldn't see us either. And so in an effort to see us, it climbed up on a stump that they had cut off, and I shot it off the stump. And this hunt was almost mirror image of that as far as the way it played out. But it was a good deal. As far as howling action, I don't know how many times they howled, but the vocal response and them letting us know where they were at was, probably that was the key to knowing what to do and knowing to get out there in that edge. And the MFK diaphragms was what made that happen. As far as vocal action, calling coyotes in with howling, you can't beat them. I mean, they're the most realistic call out there. You see what we do to them on a regular basis, and they won't answer anything any better than they answer MFK. And that was the key to knowing where these coyotes were at, so we could continue to improve our setups until we got it done. But to get any of our stuff, check us out on mfkgamecalls.com. And if you're watching this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, MFK Game Calls, and you can check out another couple hundred videos. But we appreciate y'all watching. We're gonna drag this thing out. We had intention of making 4 or 5 sets this morning, or at least 3 or 4, and we might get one more in, late as it is. But, got to walk back through the jungle now.
Yeah, I'm dreading that.
Better than a mile to the truck. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Let's go see if we can kill something else.